Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about events managers, not the type of events managers that you use to organize your conference or wedding, but something that's going to make it a lot easier for you to either make some generative music or that you can automate, change, generate ideas. And before we get started, let's just take this in for a moment. I've just put this thing together that every 4 bars, it will generate a new beat for us. Okay, these are a bit slow. Let's just do some faster ones and then we can get going with the tutorial. So obviously this is just like a little bit of an IDM glitch fest happening here. So just a quick walk through what's happening here. I've got one channel for kicks, one for snares, one for percussion, and one for hi-hats. I've grouped them together into this percussion channel, which has loads of effects in them. Then I have the Events Manager, which in short, you can see here, it triggers events at different, like every 16th notes, 8 notes, bar. I'm going to talk a bit more about how this is later in the video. But if we look here, 4 bars is it triggers a whole load of changes, which, for example, the kicks, it will pick a new kick sound, pick new snare sounds, percussion sounds, etc. It will also toggle a random selection of effects on and off, and will also generate a completely new rhythm for the kicks and snares and percussion and everything. So every 4 bars, it will just like create a whole new bunch of things for you. It takes a little time to set this up, but then you could just produce so much, ideation here. And you can easily, quickly change this. So this is obviously every 4 bars. You can make it 8 bars. You can make it however often you want. So I am now going to cut the video here and I'm going to get back to you with a clean slate and show you how you set something like this up. Thank you so much. I hope you will enjoy this video. Bye. Okay, let's talk about event managers. So what we are going to do, just to demonstrate this, let's just grab the standard 808 kit from that comes with Ableton. And we are going to create a little beat. And the quickest way to create a beat is to use something like grids. This video is not about grids, but I would like to thank the person who converted the Eurorack module using Max for Live so we can use this in Ableton. So if you are into Eurorack already, you have probably come across grids by Mutable Instruments. If you haven't, then I'm going to do my best to quickly explain what that is. It is a Eurorack module for generating beats using different algorithms. So in its basic instance, it's meant to control a kick drum, a snare, and a hi-hat. And these dials, I'm just going to go through them quickly. If I just play this now, actually, let's do that first. Let's just play something. So it's generating beats for us. So what these dials do, the bass drum dial, the higher that is, the more frequent the bass drum is going to sound. The same with the snare and the same with the hi-hat. So I'm just going to demonstrate that now. You get the idea. Now, as you heard, that was quite a vanilla beat. And you can change how that beat is playing out by map X and map Y. That's where you sort of scrub through the different algorithms that this device comes with, and you will generate different combinations of snares and kicks and hi-hat patterns. And then there is a chaos one, which then blends in a little more randomness to it. So we're going to turn chaos off, but we can just, so if this is the beat we have now, and we just change that to a, so you can quickly generate new beats here. And if we want to quickly generate things like loops, a 4-bar loop or whatever it is that we want to do, an Events Manager is going to be super easy way of, let's say, every bar that you just generate a brand new beat. So we're going to use a separate channel for this. I've already named it Events Manager. And the easiest way of doing this, I don't know if it's the easiest way, but it's the easiest way that I've found out, is to grab a Max for Live device. So we can grab the mono sequencer, which is a free one, a great little sequencer that you can download for free. I'll put the link in the description. I have not built this device, although I've made some modified versions of it. What this does, it's a 16-step sequencer, which is intended for doing melodies and stuff, but we are only interested in the MIDI notes this is sending out, or when it's sending out MIDI notes. So if I would have all these blue and run this, it sends out 16 MIDI notes, like it's 16th notes. But if we slow this down to a whole note, this sequencer is only going to progress every bar. And if we want to combine this, so this is going to generate 1-bar loops. So if we want to combine this with a really powerful tool, so if you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen me using this loads of times, which is the expression control, which is a great way for generating random values. So I'm just going to make sure that all of these are set to random. That should really be the default for me anyway, because I like random stuff. So as this has got its own channel, and every bar it will trigger, you can see here. So every time that steps forward, we get a new random value, and then we can map those to all these parameters. So let's just go through and do that. This is probably going to generate some quite chaotic results, especially because the kick drum can go all the way to max, which means that there's going to be a kick on every single well, 16th note, I think. But let's see what happens. We just map all these. We can do those. So every bar, we get a new beat. Actually, I think 1 bar is maybe too short. We can turn some notes off. So if we do that, it's, and then let me see, we can do every 4 bars. So as you can hear, every time it hits one of those blue dots, so we're going to get a new beat. So this is really the foundations of an events manager. But obviously now we're only changing something very trivial. So let's just continue building this. So we're going to take those and we're going to group them together. So we get them in a MIDI rack. And so this one is triggering every 4 bars. Just write that in there so we don't forget. And let's grab another mono sequencer and put in this rack here. So let's say that we want to, on every, maybe not on every 16th note, we can say on every quarter note. So this has quarter notes rather than 4 bars. Quarter note. we may want to use another expression control to send it to use that one that's already set to random. We can send a bit of signal off to the reverb. Maybe not too much reverb. So then you can set up lots of different ones here. Let's do another one quickly here. So let's just duplicate that one. I think that would be the quickest way of doing it. Can we do that? Ableton is thinking a bit. Let's change that to every 16th notes, and then we have to set that to 16th. That one should not be in this instance, but let's do the how much it sends it off to the delay, but we also go into the delay. We set that to jump to set that up, and then we can like every note, this changes the delay time. To get a bit more of a radical effect, we can actually set something up. Okay, this is going to be, now we are going to deep dive into IDM territory. So let's use the grain delay. Go back into the Events Manager, and every 4 bars, let's say that we change the pitch of the grain delay. Let's add another expression control into this. And then we take the random one, and then we can also set here how much grain delay we get. Actually, I'm just going to change my mind right there. Let's go back. We don't want the dry wet. Let's just get rid of that one, actually. We are going to use one of my Max for Live devices. If you choose to sponsor me on Patreon, if you like what I do, you will be able to get this device. The concept of the Events Manager, you can still build, you get the expression control, but this particular device, if you're not already a subscriber, you can't have it. But what this does, well, that sounded a bit harsh, I'm sorry. I'm sure you can build something like this really easily in Max for Live too, if you want to. It's basically every time this device receives a MIDI note, it checks the probability, and at the moment it sets a 50% chance, and it will basically send a trigger if it thinks it's on or off, basically. So what we're going to do, there's 50-50 chance every 4 bars that the grain delay will be on, and the dry wet should be max. So if it's on, it's all in. So we can do this now. We see no grain delay. Let's hope it kicks in. So now we've got grain delay on. So basically every 4 bars, we're going to get a new loop. But now we are only controlling one channel. I'm generally using my Event Manager to control loads of channels and lots of different instruments and stuff. So let's just set up a melody here. So we can do let's do wavetable thing. I'll like to keep the Events Manager as my last channel. It's up to you. What would you like to do? Let's just do that so we can have a... and then we can just quickly use another sequencer. Let's use the... let's use the modified version of the step sequencer. So the difference with this one to the original one, the two things that are different, let me see, is that this one requires to receive a MIDI note to progress. Therefore, you can have more complex patterns, but it also allows you to MIDI map the randomness, which you can't do with the original one. Again, not important in terms of Event Manager, but it's going to be a quick way for me to demonstrate how this is working. So now I just need to get some MIDI notes in there, and I'm just going to draw a rhythmical pattern in here. It doesn't really matter which notes because it ignores the notes. It just wants to hear a MIDI signal coming in. So if we play that now. Oh, it actually takes those notes into account. I didn't think it would, but if we do that. So that's obviously not quantized to anything, but let's say that we add every 4 bars, we add, obviously we need more expression control. As always, that's often the answer. So let's see. We grab the random and then we go into here and then we say we want to press the randomization. So every 4 bars, it's just going to generate a new melody. I just need to straighten this out. I think it was a mistake. But I think if there was something in the previous Ableton version, I don't know if you can turn it off. If you know, please put in the comments that when you just drag the line, that it would sort of snap to that line so you wouldn't sort of just draw all over the place. It was just a quick way of drawing out a particular note. We can do also, I wonder if we can do that. So every 4 bars, it changes the, you have more random in here. Random. Let's say that we go in and change the pulse, which is how often this sequencer. So now I think that's obviously not going to work with this because it's reading the signal flat. Okay, forget what I just said. That's not going to work. Sorry if this is being confusing. This one doesn't actually, because it's blah, blah, blah. What am I doing? All right, let's rewind the tape. Cut. I'm gonna ditch that one. Let's, because my homebrewed version there, let's just pretend that that never happened. Let's put one in again. Let's do sequencer. Let's do the, we use my version of the step sequencer instead. Let's do that one. Again, in a similar vein, it requires a trigger, which we got our trigger pattern in there. Actually, let's take that out. Skip that trigger pattern. Every time it receives a trigger, and I can also randomize the melody by MIDI mapping that. So if we actually put a regular mono sequencer in now, let's just demonstrate that, that needs to sit before this sequence. So if I change the time signature here, that's perfect. So we're using this one is basically only setting the speed. So every time this kicks out the MIDI note, this sequencer will play, which will trigger the wavetable. So if we go into here and we randomize the, firstly, the time signature here, and then we take, can we not randomize that? Is that not possible? I need to modify that sequencer. It's not fair. Do you know what? I am going to cheat. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to group that. And I'm going to do duplicate that. We've got 3 different versions. One that runs at 16th notes, another one that runs at 8th notes, and one that runs at quarter notes. We're going to go into chain, and we're going to click them all, and I'm going to drag these. Oh, come on. The trackpad on my laptop is dying. Okay. So depending on where this blue thing is, if it's over that one, it will do the first one, the middle one, etc. You get the idea. So if we do here now, if we map that chain selector, it's now at 16th notes. Oh, jump to another 16th notes. Let's hope it jumps to another time signature next time. Oh, got it. Damn it. Oh, have I actually set that to... No, it's fine. Why is that not? That should only be quarter notes. Why is that? Can I solo that? Okay, my quick trick didn't work. All right, you see it, you're seeing it warts and all today, I think. Can I use a regular step sequencer, and does that let me automate the time signature in that one? Can I do that? Is that MIDI? Yes, it is MIDI mappable. So the timing on that one we can do. All right, so same principle as I was originally going to do, but I'm using this sequencer, and then we map that. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. So it runs for 4 bars, and then it will choose a different time signature. Maybe we should turn that down a bit so it doesn't ever get to the really fast territories there. And then obviously we can go in and set these to random as well. And then we can go in and change the sound itself. So if we go into the wavetable and can maybe change the waveform that's using. And then maybe in our little events manager here, we might want to have something that happens. Oh, we got the 16th note set up, so we can use this random, and voila. Let me see, so we can change the frequency maybe on the filter. Let's make sure that the doesn't close the filter completely ever. I think you get the idea. So you can set up in your events manager, use that MIDI channel to set up as many of these ones you like with different intervals and things. And then you can control your whole track and say that after, you can have really long intervals if you want, of course. You can say like after 8 or 16 bars that change something, like there is, maybe you have one of these things that says the likelihood, like there's a likelihood that a certain drum will either turn on or off, or that the rhythm will change, or that the bass line will change or something. So you can sort of use this as a really powerful method of yeah, just changing a track. So I'm going to jump back into the project that I showed you at the beginning and talk you through that version, because that is something that was quite elaborate, where I have built my beautiful little template, which you will be able to grab if you are sponsoring me on Patreon. You can obviously build your own using the techniques that I've just shown you. But if you like what I do and you sponsor me, you can grab my template if you want to. I'm going to talk you through that in a moment. I might cut the video here and come back once this project has loaded. Okay, we are back. You probably didn't notice that interlude, but I did, because I had to sit there and wait for my Ableton to load up on my old computer. But just let's have a little look at what's going on here. So you heard this at the beginning. I can play it again just so you get a feeling, or a little reminder. So this is a thing that changes the beats every 4 bars. It's running really slowly now, only 86 BPM. Let's just crank that up a bit and we can just rock through some more beats quicker. So it's a really quick tool to create a foundation to a track or generate sample loops. So if we go into looking at how I've set out this event manager's template, I have got in the template, it's 16th, 8 notes, quarter notes, half notes, bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars. But then I've also put in for probability, because the step sequencer here is a powerful tool where you can set up and you can randomize the probability, which is not making it less certain if a new note will trigger or not. And we got algorithmic, which is this one, which you can obviously automate. So this whole thing is based on, like, it's kicking out MIDI notes either at a regular interval or using probability or an algorithm. And then you can obviously pop in all these, whatever you want to use, expression control, or if you want to use, do I have them here? Like these sort of random triggers or turning things on and off. You will get all this stuff if you sponsor me on Patreon. You will get the template, so you can just drag that into your project. It doesn't have the expression control and those things in there. You will have to add them in yourself depending on what you need on your project. It's like it's a vanilla one. Actually, I'll just create a new MIDI track and drag it in so you can see what it looks like when it's not populated in any way. So TFP, where do I have it? Here we are. Yes, it's Events Manager Mark II. I had an earlier version that I used a lot, but I've just done this upgraded version. Let's see. Come on, computer. I know you're tired, but you can do it. I don't want a spinning rainbow ball. Come on. There we are. Okay, so this is what the vanilla version looks like. So we got algorithmic, probability, and then 8 bars. Obviously, there is nothing here, so you just drag the expression controls or any other devices that you might have that you want to be triggered by these different notes. So that was just an empty version of that. So then what I've done here, just to explain a bit, you will be able to do, I will be sharing this on my Patreon as well. I will be sharing this project file so you can pull it apart, because there's actually quite a lot of stuff happening in here. I have divided it into 4 separate channels, one for kicks, one for snares, one for percussion, and one for hi-hats. And then I have grouped them into this channel. Gosh, my poor computer is really struggling today. I've grouped them together, and in this percussion group, I got a whole bunch of effects that I'm using the Events Manager to, so we can see here, I got an effects chain with delays and grain delays and beat repeats, buffer shuffler. All those things will, depending on when it reaches the end of, in this case, the 4 bars, it will check, like randomly turning these on and off. And you would obviously get different combinations of them that will create a lot of variation. And all of them are also then using expression control, randomizing a lot of the parameters. And for the kicks and snares and things, I've set up these sample libraries with samples that I've generated. You will get them as well on my Patreon, with loads of kicks, loads of snares, loads of different percussion sounds, and also synthesized different hi-hats. And after each 4 bar, it will move that sample selector and just grab a new sample. And for the snare, for example, I'm automating the decay and release time. So you will just get, I think that happens a bit more frequently. So you, as the beat is playing out, you get a bit of variation in the sound as well. So here you can see that's almost, I think it's every second note, or like every 16th notes, changing the decay. And you can see in the sample selector that every 4 bars that should be changing. So you get a new sound palette, so you can just set up a new, let's just do that now. We do an audio track, and now we can just generate like loads of samples. So if we just set that to set that to resample, we trigger it, then we go back, and now I think we're just going to get loads of beats. As you can see, quiet, too many loops and things going on. Anyway, you can see how you then can just generate loads of ideas. So I hope that made sense. Don't hesitate to ask me questions if it is just too confusing. I hope you found the thinking around Events Managers useful. So again, please consider sponsoring me on Patreon. It means loads. And just associated with this video, you will get access to these sample libraries that I'm using in this project. You will get this project file, so you can go in and dissect and look at how I've put it together. I will also generate a whole bunch of sampled loops for you that you can already use, that you can just go use in any way you like. You will get access to some of those Max for Live devices that I've put together, like those randomly turning things on and off, and a sequencer that needs to trigger to step forward so you can have more complex sequencer patterns and that sort of thing. I hope you enjoyed this, and that I hope to see you again next week. Thank you for watching.